Okay, so I'm not really one for favourites. I like too many different things, but I'm going to give it a go with a few places that I really like. So the first one is the Eastern Curve Garden, which I really enjoy because I like that it took a wasted space and turned it into something. So I like those happy accidents that you have in our urban environments where you couldn't imagine. Where you couldn't imagine that it was meant to be created. Okay, so this is why it's confusing. I'm going to demonstrate why it's confusing. Okay, so I like that different people can use it in different ways. You can go there for a cup of coffee, or you can go there and program an event. You can suggest a talk. You can suggest something that you bring to that space. And actually, for me, that's something that I find really exciting. It helps me feel connected to a place. If I think I can go and get involved and join in, I can perhaps have something to offer, and that's exciting. I can grow food there. So, but I don't have to, it's not compulsory, so I might be really into it. I might just actually quite like the idea that that happens in the space. And I like that other people do it, but I don't want to be actively involved. But it's a space in which lots of different people can have different views, different ideas, different things that they're interested in, and they can all happen in the same space. So actually, you could be really crafty. You could say, I'm going to do a scarecrow making session. Or actually, local businesses around there can say, well, I can offer recipe, I can teach you recipes, or I can do cooking classes, I can do all of this stuff, I could do a book club, I can do all of it. And actually, all this is a space that happens. It could be nothing, it could just be boarded up, but actually, it becomes a space that is used for all of this potential, and the potential is around it, the potential is in the area around it. This is Shoreditch Park, I live near here, so there's nothing particularly special about it, apart from climbing rock, which I like that it's there, although I never find one because I don't have the skills. But I enjoy that it's there, and if I ever wanted to do, I could. So a space that's kind of your neighbourhood park that you, and I'm sure we all in this room have places or parks that are near us that might just be our nearest patch of green. I walk my dog in Shoreditch Park, so it's really special for me actually. She's quite young, it's been really exciting for me to meet new people in my area, just because we all have dogs, so it's this other reason that suddenly we go to Shoreditch Park at 7 AM, which I had never done before. Get a dog in there at 7 AM and you meet different people. It's used at different times of day, and it's a patch of grass, and there are formal activities that go on and there are informal activities. Food growing is also little food growing plots that we have where I live. It's not compulsory to grow food, there are people who grow flowers. I get really excited that I can use the spaces around where I live productively in a very small way. So it totally fits with my lifestyle. I've got 3 square meters, and so I can't grow masses, but I can tend it in my kind of spare time. I get really excited and take photographs and send them to my mum and dad of stuff that I've grown. Get excited when people come over to dinner. I'm like, I made garlic. I did garlic that's in this, really exciting for me. And this makes me feel connected to this place. And again, because lots of people who live on my estate have got these plots, I meet different people. I meet people that I wouldn't meet in other, like when I'm rushing to and from work. But actually, that's a nice little whistle-stop tour through my East London life. But what I'm really interested in is what happens when you have spaces like this in places where actually the people who live around these spaces don't necessarily have the resources that I have, or they don't have a sense of slight entitlement. If I want something to happen, I can go out there and make it happen, and I can probably pull together other people who think similar things to me. But what if this is my experience of public space, and I think, well, it's kind of functional, I can walk through it, it's green, the grass is not too long, it's all right, and actually I don't really know to ask for more, and if I ask for more, I'm assuming that there's some miscellaneous they or people in charge who will say no. And if I just went and started putting donkey sacks there and growing food in them, I'd probably get told off, wouldn't I? You don't necessarily have the same connection. Actually, what if you get given stuff? This is a project where these timber stumps were put in, and there is a lot of people who were told there's amazing play value in timber stumps. But actually people living around here were like, I want different stuff for my children. I want other stuff. I don't want to be told that timber stumps is the thing that they should play on. Because they weren't involved. They weren't part of the process. They were just given this stuff. So actually the interesting thing for me is how do you build relationships with people around places, start to build the resources within those spaces. This is an activity that we did. It's around know your skills, and it's really simple stuff of just like actually within places, peers can tell you great stuff about each other that you wouldn't necessarily identify in yourself. So all of our friends would say that we had skills or things that we were good at that we wouldn't necessarily know. Go to see different stuff. Actually, as a designer, I pretty much kind of work off references, things that I've seen, or piecing together different references, experiences that I've had. And what if you haven't had those experiences? Actually, do you know to ask for more, for better? And that kind of interests me. Actually, we can't really talk about great spaces without thinking about how are we getting the resources or providing people with the skills to create them themselves. So taking the crazy ideas and making them happen. So this was a project where we were looking at a space outside the school, and the 7-year-old just said, I'd like to close it for a day and have a street party. Can we make that happen? And actually, rather than saying, well, there's too many issues, everybody came together and said, yes, let's make it happen. It wasn't necessarily to my aesthetic, it wasn't about me saying, I want to control every single different thing that happens here. All we had to do was persuade the council to get permission to close the road, and the residents and the schools and the pupils around that area put on their own events, and actually it was their space for that day, their events, their activities, their stories, their experience, their skills, and we didn't have to do anything.